Waitress finds her mother's photo in Billionaire's wallet. The truth leaves her in tears. It was an ordinary Tuesday morning at Hickory's Diner in small-town Willow Creek, Virginia. Coffee pots steamed. The scent of pancakes filled the air, and the usual crowd murmured over their breakfasts. But for 24-year-old waitress Emily Carter, the day turned extraordinary when a billionaire in a charcoal gray suit left behind his leather wallet. She opened it to check for ID and froze. There, tucked behind a platinum credit card and a crisp $100 bill, was an old, worn photograph of her mother. A photo she hadn't seen since her mother disappeared 17 years ago. Emily Carter had always been the kind of person who remembered faces. She had to be. It came with the job. Working double shifts at Hickory's Diner since she was 17, Emily knew her regulars by name, coffee order, and which booth they liked. She'd grown up fast after her mom vanished without a trace when Emily was just 7. Raised by her grandmother, Emily learned to survive on grit, kindness, and long hours. But nothing prepared her for the moment she saw her mother's face in a stranger's wallet. Her hands trembled. The photo was faded, but unmistakable. Her mother, Linda Carter, smiling in a blue sundress, standing next to a cherry blossom tree. An image burned into Emily's memory from a family photo album long lost in a flood. Why would a billionaire have this photo? The man who left the wallet had been quiet, polite, and reserved. He wore an expensive suit and paid in cash. A black car had picked him up just moments before. His name on the business card tucked into the wallet read, Graham Lockwood. Emily's jaw dropped. Graham Lockwood, the reclusive real estate tycoon from New York, worth billions, barely photographed, rarely seen. What was he doing in Willow Creek? Her co-worker, Jenny, peeked over her shoulder. "Is that your mom?" Emily nodded silently, eyes wide. "Are you going to return the wallet?" Jenny asked. "I don't have a choice," Emily replied, her voice barely a whisper. "But I'm going to find out why he has that photo." That evening, Emily took the wallet to the most luxurious hotel in town, the only one Lockwood would likely stay at. She found his room number by asking at the front desk and knocking with trembling hands. The door opened, and there he was. Tall, silver hair, sharp blue eyes. Graham Lockwood looked at her with a flicker of recognition, more than one would expect from a stranger. "You left this," she said, holding out the wallet. He took it but said nothing. "Why do you have a photo of my mother in it?" Emily asked, her voice breaking. His face paled. "What's your name?" he asked slowly. "Emily Carter." A pause. A long one. Then Graham Lockwood whispered, "My God, you look just like her." He invited her in. She hesitated but stepped inside. The hotel suite was lavish, but she didn't care. She needed answers. He sat across from her, wallet in hand. He pulled out the photo gently. "Linda Carter," he said softly. "She was the love of my life." Emily's heart pounded. "But she was married to my dad," she replied. "I know," he said, eyes glistening. "She married him after we were forced apart. It's a long story, Emily. But if you'll let me, I'll tell you everything." Graham began with a story from decades ago. He was a young man then, just starting out, no money, living in D.C. He met Linda at a bookstore. She was vibrant, curious, and compassionate. They fell in love fast and hard. But Linda's family disapproved. Graham had nothing. They pressured her to marry someone secure. Richard Carter, a lawyer with connections. Linda tried to fight it. But when Graham left for a business opportunity in Chicago, she stopped answering his letters. Heartbroken, he never returned. He threw himself into work. He never married. But he never forgot Linda. Years later, he saw her again, in a photo online, a missing woman from Virginia. He hired investigators. None could find her. Only the photo remained. Emily felt dizzy. "She disappeared when I was 7, she said. "One day she tucked me into bed. The next morning she was gone. No note, no call, nothing." Tears welled in her eyes. "I thought maybe she died. Maybe she ran away. But I never imagined." Graham nodded slowly. "I didn't know you existed until tonight." His voice cracked. "Emily, if you're willing, I want to help you find out what happened to her." Emily agreed. Over the next few weeks, Graham hired a private investigator named Daniel Reyes. Together, they discovered disturbing details. Richard Carter, Emily's father, had a sealed record: domestic disturbances, complaints from neighbors, even one missing person report that mysteriously vanished. He had died in a car crash 6 years ago. But what happened to Linda? A breakthrough came when Daniel traced Linda's last known location to a cabin in Ashburn Forest, just outside Willow Creek. Emily and Graham went together. The cabin had been abandoned for years, but inside were fragments of a life left behind: old dishes, a coat, and a journal. Linda's journal. The entries painted a picture of a woman trapped, terrified of her husband, and trying to flee with her daughter. She planned to meet someone, but never made it. One entry read, "If something happens to me, I just want Emily to grow up free. Maybe one day she'll know the truth." In a creaking floorboard beneath Linda's bed, they found a sealed letter. It was addressed to GL, Graham Lockwood. The letter, never sent, told Graham that Linda still loved him, that Emily was everything to her, and that she feared for their lives. "I wanted to run to you," she wrote, "but I couldn't bring this danger to your doorstep." The final line hit Emily like a punch to the heart. "If you find this, please take care of Emily. She is the best part of me." Months passed. Graham officially became Emily's guardian angel. He helped her open a scholarship fund in her mother's name, helped her enroll in college, something she'd always dreamed of but never could afford. They never found Linda's remains, but clues hinted she had likely died trying to flee one last time. It hurt. But now Emily had truth and something more. One fall afternoon, as orange leaves danced outside Graham's New York estate, Emily walked through the garden. He joined her, 2 mugs of tea in hand. "I've been thinking," he said gently. "I never had a family. Not really. And you're the closest I've ever felt to having a daughter." Emily looked at him, tears rising again. "I'd be honored," she whispered, "to call you my family." 2 years later, Emily stood in a sleek office, holding a portfolio marked Carter Lockwood Foundation. It helped women escape abusive homes, funded shelters, and gave scholarships to girls in need. She was no longer a waitress. She was a survivor, a leader, and the daughter of a woman who had loved fiercely and a man who had never stopped searching. And every day on her desk, she kept one thing framed: a faded photo of her mother in a blue sundress beneath cherry blossoms. Sometimes the people we lose leave behind more than memories. They leave behind connections that fate will one day bring back to light.